Here to discuss the Manning verdict and what the implications could be for other whistleblowers, for the press, and for national security, our attorney David Scher, who has represented whistleblowers in a number of cases, and Atiba Madyun, who heads a government relations consulting firm. Thank you both for coming in. Julian Assange called him a hero after the verdict. I'd like to get both of your reactions. Why don't I start with you?
I don't know if he's a hero, but I think that he definitely has changed the complexion, the way that this is going to look going forward, as well as whether or not other people will feel comfortable stepping forward in the case if they do feel that there's some wrongdoing going on.
David, how about you?
I would also say that Mr. Manning is not a hero. I would say that he made a big mistake here. He went out and he disclosed secrets of the United States, and he did it in the wrong way. Had he done it in the right way, he wouldn't have been where he is today.
Let me ask you about whistleblowers, because you represent them. There's a conservative political scientist named Gabriel Schoenfeld who said, and he's talking about President Obama, he said, ironically, Obama has presided over the most draconian crackdown on leaks in our history, even more than Nixon. Would you agree?
I don't know that I would agree with that statement, but I would say that President Obama is facing huge leaks in our national security, and I guess we're talking about that topic today in terms of the breaches of security, and I think that that's just a function of the times. On the other hand, I would not call Mr. Manning a whistleblower because he did not follow the proper channels. He did not file a report with the Investigator General, file a case under seal, the kinds of cases that we see in our office.
But there have been those that have, and the president and the administration have been very aggressive in going after them.
Yes, they have, and at the same time, they've issued protections against to protect whistleblowers from retaliation. For example, the president just issued an executive order basically prohibiting retaliation against individuals who are members of national security from when they blow the whistle. It's not the best protection, but it is something. It's a start.
I want to get your thoughts on that comment, too, because I haven't heard you weigh in yet. The most draconian since even more so than Nixon, he says.
I don't know about that. I think that the president inherited a lot of other things that had gone on before. We have a system where there's a lot of information that's being gathered, and I think all of this, too, in this particular case, is going to a case of whether or not people feel as if their privacy is being weighed outside of security. In this particular case, the gentleman in question, believed that he was doing the right thing. He believed that he was coming forward and giving information and putting the government in a position that it had to answer for what he thought was wrong. He has his own reasons for why he did that. I hope that at some point we get to hear from him a little bit more in depth to find out why it is that he did what he did. But it would be interesting also to see going forward how many other people take maybe a different legal route in terms of if they feel as if the government is doing something wrong.
What about this helicopter video, the Apache helicopter video? Two employees of Reuters, a news agency, one of them a photojournalist, shot dead. And one of them actually wounded, and people came to rescue him. The van was also strafed. And it doesn't appear that any of those people were brought to account. And that's been one of the complaints of the people who support Manning. I want you guys to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, Tim, but I think the question really isn't what Mr. Manning did, but how he did it. Had he done it the right way, I think he'd be in a better shape, and also those individuals wouldn't have been embarrassed, and there would have been an ability to take an action against them without risking national security. And as Atiba is pointing out, the breaching security is actually kind of easy these days. It's easy to leak information. So we need to increase protection for whistleblowers, but we also need to increase security to make sure that those leaks don't happen.
Atiba, would you agree?
I agree.
Let me ask you about something that just came out in the news the other day, the Sunlight Foundation, which is a watchdog organization. There's a website, change.gov, that Obama had. His platform was there. And in his platform as a candidate, he said he was going to protect whistleblowers. They went in, they found that that's been scrubbed. You can't find it anywhere on the internet. It almost continues to give kind of this 1984 feel to things. You surprised that the administration would do that sort of thing? And I'll start with you.
Am I surprised? Again, I think a lot of this really just goes back to what the president and what his administration inherited. In regard to whether or not this is a 1984 piece, I actually was thinking about that on the way here. It does seem like there's a lot of extensions, there's a lot of government reach that's going on here. And I think that it really points to are the American people going to speak out on this, and are they going to let their voice be heard on whether or not they agree with the role that the government is playing right now?
What about the American people? Do you expect them to weigh in at any point? They don't seem to be at this point. The politicians don't either.
Well, I think everybody's weighing in just all over the internet, so it's just a bunch of noise right now. And I do have to say that regardless of what's on President Obama's website, the reality is that in 2009, the Congress passed a new statute that significantly broadened whistleblower protection. There have been additional statutes since then, such as Dodd-Frank, et cetera. So I think he did fulfill that promise, regardless of the fact that he may have scrubbed it from his website.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you so much for your
thank you.
analysis.
Thank you.